me see if I can. So here we are. We're at the bottom of the swing girder. So this is the west abutment. Just point out that this is a pre-stressed girder. Concrete deck will be poured on it. This is the bars that go into the concrete deck. It's an 8-inch deck. You'll notice up there, that's for fall arrest. They put block outs in the top of the girder flange and then they tie off. You'll also notice there's a bearing pad underneath here. So that black bearing pad and styrofoam, this whole thing is going to be encased in concrete. Notice they've got a real tight spacing for the between the girder and the rebar. So they just barely made it in there. That whole thing will be filled with concrete. You'll also notice holes going through the web. They'll run rebar into those coming out this way. There'll be a whole steel cage around here. So you got the styrofoam in front, and then you've got that rebar in the back of the abutment. And then you've got rebar in the front of the abutment. Then there'll be bars going horizontally through this whole thing. You'll notice the end of the girder. I think this girder has about 36 strands in it or so, or more. They had strands coming out of here, but then they grind it and patch it so you don't see the strands. They got about 36 to 42 of these strands coming out, and they torch them, but I extend some of them to help lock the girder into the back of the abutment. And so these are 0.6 diameter 7-wire strands, and there's I think about 34 here, and then there's some harp strands coming through the web. So that's the top flange, that's the web, that right there's the bottom flange. And so this girder is span 1, it's 120 feet, and then there's a span 2, and then there's a span 3. I think the bridge is about 320 feet long. And you can see the Boise River down below. It's cold out here. And notice all the bracing to make sure that this thing doesn't come apart, to stabilize it. And then right over here, you've got what we call the wing walls. And so this whole thing is going to be filled with concrete. Let's see if I can zoom out. So this abutment is, I believe, 3'6" thick. 3'6" thick. And this whole thing is going to be one solid mass of concrete, what we call a fully integral abutment. Notice I had epoxy bars in the top. There'll be epoxy bars up here, and the concrete deck is going to be about right here's the riding surface, and then it'll have epoxy bars in the top deck. And they are, let's take a look up here to see where they're at with rigging up the girder. So here we are, they're getting it rigged up. This is an interior girder. So when they get this swung out, they'll swing this out and they'll move the truck, back it up. Then they're gonna switch gears, and then this one here will hook up. It's called a 2-crane pick. And then the 2 crane operators will work together to swing that one into place. On the other side, that crane will be able to lift a single one of these. They'll just do a single crane pick with probably a really giant spreader bar. Okay, more to come later.